Hi everyone, thank you for joining us. I am joined by Charlie Francis, one of the actors from Philophobia.
Hello.
And waiting in the wings we have Guy Davies, the director of Philophobia. We know Guy and the team from several events that we had with them last year. Firstly, it screened with us in Melbourne and London Lift-Off, and then in Berlin Lift-Off as well in January. Rupert is here, he is on my lap. He will be sleeping throughout this, so I do apologise if he does bark at all. But he's usually pretty good.
Golden.
But let's get Guy on to tell us everything about Philophobia, shall we?
Perfect.
Cool. Hi Guy, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Yeah, as you heard, I've got Rupert here. He's our little sausage dog mascot. He literally does all of the YouTube streams with us, and people love him. So, like I said, I do apologise if he does bark at all. But
that's okay. No worries.
So why don't you tell us a little bit more about Philophobia, and then we'll get into the process and the exciting news of the theatrical release, which is coming up.
Sure. So Philophobia is my debut feature. I wrote it and I directed it and I produced it. It's shot in my hometown in Gloucestershire. I made it when I was 25, and then obviously the edit process and everything has been a bit longer. It's set in the last week of school, and it focuses on a boy and his friendship group, like on the cusp of like becoming adults. Like they're taking their A-level exams. It's like a picture of adolescence about love and friendship and sex and that certain transition in life before becoming an adult.
Yeah. I mean, as I mentioned in the introduction there, we screened it during the Melbourne Lift-Off Film Festival, again at London and then in Berlin. And in every city we've taken it, it has resonated so much with the audiences that have watched it. So you've definitely created a wonderful, wonderful film. And I'm so excited that it is finally being released in cinemas here, and it will be able to be seen by not just the film festival goers and the art house lovers, but also the general public.
I can't wait. This has been how long is it? 3 years? 3 years in the making. I can remember the first time I read the script, and it's just 3 years of build up of emotion and excitement about to pay off very, very soon. Honestly, I can barely contain myself.
So before we get into talking about the theatrical release, why don't we screen the trailer for everyone so they get to understand what it is that we're talking about and what it is that they can be looking forward to watching. So I'm just going to screen the trailer.
Hey. So you totally ditched me the other day. Didn't happen to have anything to do with that girl, did it? Because it seems to me like she's spoken for.
Seems that way. Do you want to be a better writer? It begins with that door. There's a whole world out there waiting to shit on you. Let it. Use it.
You want out. You're too scared to leave me.
There's nothing keeping me here.
Nothing. I've seen the way you look at her.
Help me! Time to move on.
Oh, time to win it back.
Get in the freaking car, Guy! This is bigger than you! Hey! Stop!
Okay, so at the end of the trailer there it said cinemas 30th of October. So it is fast approaching, which is great. Why don't we delve into that, because this is an area of the network that really, really, every time we talk about the films that are screening at the festival and what filmmakers are making and how best to distribute them, this is the question that comes up over and over and over again. So tell us a little bit about your process.
In terms of how I got the film into cinemas?
Yes, and just how you started the conversation with sale agents and distributors.
Okay, so I mean, essentially what I've done is I guess I made a very long list of sales agents and distributors that I thought would be appropriate for the film, and I started to contact them, and I would just follow up, maybe 3, 4, 5 times until I got a response, whether that response was like a pass or an offer. But I would just keep going until I got a response. And yeah, that was basically what I did with that. I would just send an email with the trailer and the synopsis, and just invite them to check it out, basically. In terms of the theatrical release, it's a self-release. We don't have a distributor. I mean, all I did with that was the same thing, really. I made a list of cinemas in the UK that I wanted the film to screen in, and I just, like, online, just found out who was responsible for booking films into those cinemas, like who the head of content was or who the programmer was for the cinemas, and I reached out to them, and I just kept on emailing until I received a response.
It's interesting that you're saying that you kept on emailing and you kept on no wasn't good enough, or no response wasn't good enough, so that you kept on emailing.
Yeah, no response is not good enough. Yeah, you need to either have a no or something to continue the conversation.
Absolutely. This is business at the end of the day, and I think a lot of filmmakers are scared that it's a personal thing. So we always say to filmmakers that it's business to business. Email away until you get a response. Just keep at it, because otherwise you'll never know. And how many people ignored your first email?
Everyone ignores your first email.
Exactly.
Almost
Exactly.
I must have sent maybe in the last I don't know, 3 months or so, maybe 1,500, 2,000 emails. And most of them would have been ignored. But essentially, there's a cinema chain that's picking up the film, and there I must have had maybe 5 or 6, maybe even more emails that went unreplied to over a period of 2 months, of me just sending the film relentlessly, probably more, maybe 7 or 8, and eventually I just got a reply they decided to watch the film because I just kept emailing them, and they really like the film, and they're ready to program it into venues along with the release on October 30th.
So take us back a little bit. So you decided to self-distribute this and go through the cinema chains by emailing them relentlessly until you got an answer, whether that was a yes or a no, which is exactly the right thing to do. But at what point did you decide to go down that route instead of the more traditional route of getting a sale agent or a distributor on board to then do that work for you?
Well, I mean, I guess the feedback I had from most distributors was that, well, it depends on the distributor, to be fair, but in general, the majority of the offers that I got for the UK were for VOD online only at the moment. I still will, my plan is to work with a distributor. I don't plan to self-distribute for VOD, and I'll be working with a distributor in the US, and I've done deals in certain territories around the world. But yeah, for the theatrical, there weren't many distributors that believed in the film from a theatrical point of view. The general feedback was that, and most of the rejections that we did get were based on the theatrical. They would say, it's not something that the cinemas will pick up. It's not something that people will program. So, it's a pass from us for that reason. But we enjoyed the film, sort of thing.
And what was the reason that they gave you?
I don't know. That's it. So like,
That was it.
it may be a case of names, or I don't know. It's just whatever they decide, isn't it? Whatever they feel about it. But the general feedback on the theatrical, apart from a few distributors, was that they felt that cinemas wouldn't take it. At that point, like after I've already had, like after I've got all the offers on the table, I decided, well, I think it would be better if I go to cinemas directly. And like, there's still going to be VOD offers here, and like on demand offers and stuff like that. When I come back, if anything, if I do get cinemas, then I'll be in a stronger position, and I'll be able to renegotiate things, and I'll probably get more offers from companies that previously even rejected the film, which is something that is now happening. So I decided that I would go to the cinemas and try my luck, basically. Especially, I mean, the thing that really changed things, and probably, I guess, without studios pulling their films out, this wouldn't have happened, But as soon as I saw that, like, Death of the Nile had gone, and that's Disney movies were going, I was like, well, there's definitely a gap. I was looking at the schedule, and I just thought it was worth a punt. So I instead of like doing a deal that week with like some different distributors that we were kind of thinking we were going to, I put the brakes on that, and I just started reaching out to cinemas.
Did that ever feel daunting? Did it ever feel like it would be a unsurmountable task to get it into, well, especially get it into the amount of cinemas, get the amount of success that you have so far? Or did it always feel like it was something that was within your grasp, within your reach?
No, I don't know. I mean, it's like at this point of the process, like sending a whole load of emails isn't particularly daunting. So it's just a case of just like making the list, like setting your goals, making the list, and then just pushing it. So no, it wasn't daunting. I mean, it's now daunting that we're in, however many cinemas, and like, we have to work out how we get people to go to the film and all that sort of stuff. But that's hopefully coming along nicely. Like, early signs are good. We've already sold out the first week in some cinemas. So
amazing.
See how it goes.
You're referring to your list there, and I'm sure a lot of people who are watching this or will be watching this will be going, what list? Where did he get these contacts from? Where do I find contacts to reach out to cinemas and the right person at the cinema, or sale agents and distributors, the right person to contact?
Yeah.
How did you find your people, and what advice would you give other filmmakers who are in a similar position to you? So just Google. I mean, you just go on Google and you work out what the address is for the cinema, or you Google like, who's like responsible for booking and all that sort of stuff. And then if you can find, I mean, every cinema is going to have like a box office at whatever the cinema is. Yeah.
Like if you can't find any information, then you can email the box office, or you can email info, or you can email whatever. And hopefully, if you send a good email and you send them a good trailer, whoever is working at the box office will pass it on to head office or the management of that particular cinema or whatever. And then another thing that you can do is, once you've found the email, like box office at whatever, you can take that at whatever and just put it into Google with quotes around it, and then see if you can find anyone else's email, like,
Matches.
Clive dot someone at whatever. And then you're like, well, who's this guy? And then you Google them. And then if it turns out that they're in some way involved in programming, then you email them. Like it just takes a long time, and it's very, very dull.
But can be fantastically rewarding, as we're seeing.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I mean, it's I guess your strongest weapon is your trailer, because if your trailer's no good, then I can't imagine anyone would get back to you. And you still, like, even with securing like 50 plus cinemas, the response rate of what I had, like even now is probably less than 10%. So a hell of a lot of people just aren't going to get back to you. So you really need to consider that when you're setting your goals and when you're creating the list of ideal venues for your film and when you're approaching it, I suppose.
Yeah. You just mentioned setting your goals. What are your goals now? Have they adjusted according to the cinemas that you've already secured or in the process of securing, or are you in fact getting to that point already? Are you starting to achieve the goals that you'd set yourself at the start?
In some respects, I guess the goals have already been achieved. I mean, the main goal for the film was just to make a film that I was happy with and that I would enjoy to watch myself. I mean, I haven't really been happy with most of the stuff I've done in the past. Not in a I made things that were relatively good, like from like a short film point of view. But it's, I guess every director is kind of the same in that respect. There's always going to be stuff about their work that they're not that keen on. So I was just very conscious that, you know, there's not that many projects that I have been, that I could feel really proud of, and that I didn't want to spend, you know, 2 years of my life aggressively doing something, and then at the end of it, look back on it and just be like, well, that wasn't very good. So the primary goal was to make a film that I thought was worth having made, and that I enjoyed watching. And then alongside that was, I was going to hope that people would also like it too, that I had okay tasted movies and people would share that.
Do you feel like you've achieved those goals?
I think that's gone relatively well. I mean, obviously there's always going to be people that don't like your film. I mean, I enjoy the film and I feel like it's quite an authentic representation of like the sort of world that I experienced when I was that age. So I'm really happy with that. And there's been like relatively good feedback on, you know, for, like, we did well at festivals and you know, now it's coming out in the cinemas. So I'm really happy. I'm really, really happy. And yeah, going forward from then, I suppose I had a goal that like we would play like a handful of cinemas for a week. That was sort of what I set out to do when I set out to try and get cinemas originally. I was only really going for 4 or 5 in the local area, especially like in the sort of area. Yeah, so it scaled from off the back of getting, you know, a few at the start, because I suppose once you're in a few, it's easier to write an email. Yeah. You know, you follow up with someone and you're no longer like pitching like, this is a film that can be in cinemas. You're saying, you know, Philophobia opens in 20 cinemas on October 30th. Like, do you want it? Which you know, you come from a better position. So once it's the same with everything. It's like, you know, when you were funding the film, like the first bit of money that I got from the film, like the first bit of investment I got, I met a stranger in a cafe after they, you know, seen like an advert in the local paper sort of thing. And, you know, they had a vague connection to me through like a student that my mum taught. So like that, I mean, you essentially, like, once you've got a bit of something, or you can leverage it against other things. So like it was once I had a bit of investment, it was easier to get more investment because someone already believes in the project. So it's usually a case of once you can convince the first person, you know, it makes your life a lot easier getting more. So like once you had a few cinemas, it was easier to get more cinemas because people have already made that first commitment. No one has to, like, you know, jump in alone.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
So you mentioned there that you've been working on this project for 2 years, or how long has it been since the beginning to now?
It's been a while, in truth. We shot in, well, I mean, I should go further back, shouldn't I? Let me think. I wrote it in about a week when I was 22, and that was like the first draft. And then I didn't do anything with it at all for maybe 3 years or so.
Okay.
Yeah, about 3 years. And then at the start of the year, January 1st, 2017, I was like, okay, I want to make my first feature this year. And so what I did on the 1st of January is I just looked through all the scripts that I'd written in the past, and I looked through all of like the sort of synopsis-y kind of notes I'd made in the past about different stories, and I just chose one, and I just felt like this one was the most appropriate for my debut and the one that I wanted to do, just because it was set in my hometown and like it was based on experience, and it just felt like the right thing to do first. So I then set production dates like later that day for the 31st of for the 1st of July basically. So I gave myself 6 months to raise the money and to produce it and to bring it all together, and to like draft the script more, because it only had one sort of rough draft. And yeah, I just got cracking. I just went full steam at it for 6 months. So we shot in July. We shot July till September in 2017. I was nearly finished with the edit at the end of 2017. Wow, but unfortunately, my mum got ill. My mum got a terminal diagnosis. So I basically parked the project to look after her for maybe like 13, 14 months. Okay. So I didn't. Yeah. So I didn't do anything. So we kind of stopped. And then when I came back to it, it actually wasn't as finished as like I felt it was originally, because I kind of felt like it was, it was done. But yeah, when I came back to it, I just kind of felt different about a lot of things. And I guess that maybe that life experience had sort of, changed the way the film resonated with me. And there was some of the scenes that they just weren't quite landing right, even though basically I went back into the edit for maybe another, maybe 3 or 4 months or something, just to like tweak different things and like restructure the film a little. But I mean, everything stayed relatively the same, but it was just a case of working out, how I could make things like work how I wanted, I suppose, from like a emotional point of view. I just felt like things weren't quite as good as they could have been, or as authentic as they could have been. So yeah, and then so with that delay, I guess the film would have it would have come about quicker, but maybe not been the same film that it was. So it's 3 years, but it probably would have been doable in like 1.5.
Yeah, but going back to this being your debut film and it's being released into cinemas in the UK, and you mentioned that you had connections with sale agents or getting it onto VOD platforms in other territories around the world. That is insane and almost unheard of. So you should be extremely proud of yourself, and it really doesn't matter.
Thank you.
How long it's taken to get here and the ups and downs that you've had along the way. This is a journey, and by the sounds of things, you've had an amazing team around you as well during the process. And before we came on, you mentioned that this is something that you've been working on by yourself quite a lot, like a one-man band, especially getting it into the cinemas. So
yeah, I mean, I have my two co-producers, Matt and Toby. Toby's living in Australia, and Matt lives over in Oxford. So like we talk daily. I mean, it's harder. Like me and Matt can obviously meet up, but obviously Toby's in Australia.
Yeah, I met Toby at the Melbourne Festival.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Obviously Matt as well at EFM in Berlin.
Yeah. So we're. Yeah, but they're as much in it as I am. I just, I guess, just from like the point of view that like it's my film and I need to push it. I've undertaken some of the mammoth email tasks, but I also now have one of my close friends. He's actually behind me right now. You can probably see him. There he is.
Hello.
Harry is a legend. Harry's moved into my house like a few days ago. He's moved into my house a few days ago to help me because he also worked on the film. It was his first experience of filmmaking. We met in the pub like about, I think, a week before the film started. He was probably, Harry, how old were you? Like 18 or something? 20. And so Harry approached me at the bar because he heard me talking about a local film and he wanted to get involved.
Wow.
So that was the start of that. So yeah, Harry's been helping me because I am in the midst of another mass email situation that to do with the marketing and all that sort of stuff. So we've been doing local press and student outreach. So we have a few spreadsheets on the go that are probably like 500-600 lines long, where we've just researched all of the local press and all of the sixth form colleges and all of the universities, film clubs, everything within 10-mile radius of every single cinema.
Wow.
And we've been reaching out to them directly over the last like 3 or 4 days. So yeah, and I just couldn't do that one on my own. It was just too much.
That is an amazing strategy, I have to say. And you know what? Something I am blown away again, because the amount of filmmakers I talk to and tell them the importance of marketing their film, whether that's at a festival or whether that's them looking for, they've just got it on a VOD platform or a cinema release, whatever it may be. This is a job that filmmakers tend to think isn't theirs.
I mean, to be fair, it's not theirs, but it is theirs if it's their first film. You know, that's just the way it is.
Or if they don't have the budget.
Yeah, if you want to get things going, no one else is going to do it for you. And if they are going to do it for you, they're probably not going to do it as well as you do it. And they're probably not going to, well, they're definitely not going to put as much energy and as much effort into it as you would do it. I mean, it's the same thing with like, you know, like if you're trying to get something off the ground and you need investors and all that sort of stuff, like, of course you do. But at some point, you know, you're going to have to put some money into whatever you're doing as well, because you've got to back yourself. Like, why should anyone else back you if you won't back yourself? So, I mean, like, I'm not talking a lot. I just mean like when you're getting started, because that is the hardest thing. Like, you know, you're going to face obstacles and like, you might need to spend like a few £100 here and there, and like, and that's just the way it is. Like, you can't wait for someone to just pay for you to do things. Yeah, I think the more you can do off your own back, the better at first. That's at least been my attitude throughout my career.
And you're going to learn so much by doing it as well. So you can take that forward into your next projects, and whether you have someone else working alongside you, like Harry, who can help you, you're going to be able to show them exactly what it is that they need to do to get the job done.
For sure.
Which is great.
Do you, if you were to kind of roll back the clock, let's say 4 or 5 years to just before the Philophobia ball started rolling, do you have any advice for you back then, or similarly any advice to filmmakers that were in the same position as you moving forward?
I have so much of valuable. Yeah, I've got so many things wrong. There's so many things that I could have done better. There's so much I didn't know. I don't know. It's just a huge question.
Sure.
I think from a features point of view, maybe one of the key things that I did wrong was I just went and like raised the cash on my own and just started. Like I set a date and I just went, and like that was great. I mean, we've made the film and we've got here and it's coming out in cinemas, but not having a sales agent on board early has been a big struggle, I think, probably for this film. I think that it seems like the best way to do things, although I haven't been down that route directly, so I don't know for sure, but it seems like the best way to do things is to once you've got your script and you're really happy with your script, is to send it out to sales agents and to try and get a sales agent on board at like script stage, or at least like once you've, you know, finished your first like rough cut on your film, if you've got that far and you've made the film, to then send it out to sales agents, because sales agents like to curate the festival strategy. And like, this is something that seems obvious to me now, but when I was, you know, making the film when I was like 25, I had no idea how any of this stuff worked. But yeah, they like to curate the festival strategy. They want to organize, you know, they want to give themselves the best chance of getting the film a good festival premiere at a festival with a market where they have an opportunity to, you know, drum up publicity and also, you know, get offers for the film and then use the offers for the film as leverage against other offers and you know, create a storm at a market, at a prestigious festival and get the best sort of, you know, like sales price for the film, get the best deal for the film. So
you can't see my face, but I am smiling so much because all of the advice you've just shared is exactly what we are told over and over and over again from different sales agents. And you're right, it depends on what stage the project is at. Most sales agents do like to jump on board at the final draft of the script so they can tailor everything to their needs. But then there are some companies that are happy to jump on board after you've got that rough cut, so then they can see where the film's going and then they can have their input and change the structure slightly depending on how the outcome is that they are looking for. And,
yeah, totally. And the festivals, they really respect the sales agents. I mean, well, maybe even more than that. I don't know. It's kind of like they're drug dealers for the festivals. Like they've got the good stuff, and the festivals keep coming back for it. You know what I mean? So they can do a lot for your film. Like if you get a reputable sales agent on board, you know, they're letting the festivals know, like, you know, 2 years in advance of the festival that they've got this good film and they should look out for it. Like, so, and also
getting
you know,
into Cannes, TIFF,
well,
all of the massive ones.
I mean, obviously your film has to be good. There's got to be quality, but I'm sure there is if it's been picked up by a good sales agent, you know. But and also they ensure that the right people watch it as well. I mean, a lot of these massive festivals, they have so many applicants that like there's no guarantee that it's going to be in front of someone who can actually make a decision the first time round. You could well just be hitting like a wave of people that are, you know, like separating what is potentially good from bad or whatever to go up to the next one. But if you come at it with like a sales agent, like a reputable sales or
skip all of those stages.
Yeah, they'll know people, you know, on the programming team that can make a decision, and like, you know, maybe they won't like your film, but at least it's watched by someone who could say yes, like this is, you know, in the festival sort of thing. So I think that's very important. Yeah, so if you do want to go down like the sales agent route, I think it's very, very important to try and get in there as early as possible, you know, to create like your list of the sort of companies that, you know, have been sales agents on films that your film is similar to, like similar genre. Like, you know, you don't want to be reaching out to sales agents that only rep horror movies when you're, you know, doing like a drama.
Exactly.
Like they're just going to reject it straight away. Like... So you just got to look for similarities to what you're doing with stuff that they've done in the past, and create a list and just reach out and keep going until you get a no, basically. And hopefully they read the script and they like it and you get a yes. But that's definitely something that I just didn't even do because I wasn't even aware of. And it made the festival run really tricky because it was hard to get to, you know, like we had a lot of rejections from top festivals. But I mean, luckily we did get into a couple that were, you know, like good festivals with a market, and we managed to do it independently of a sales agent. But even, you know, once we got to those festivals without a sales agent, it was very difficult to navigate, and, you know, you had to learn a lot of things very quickly about, you know, the way the deals work and how they're structured, and it was hard to know whether, you know, you'd received a good offer or a bad offer. So yeah, I think if you do want to go down the route of the sales agent, I mean, it's probably something that you should do. And we do have a sales agent on the film now, actually. So it is something that you can do at a later stage, but it's definitely much harder because once you've got a finished film, I mean, once you've had a premiere, like once your film is out in the world, you've like a lot of sales agents wouldn't touch it just because that's not their business model. That's just not the way they work it, because they work it towards that first premiere.
I would say that 70% of sale agents work with projects that are at the beginning stages, whether that's a script, a concept, or a short film used as a concept or proof of concept for the feature film, or a really, really rough cut. I would say 70% of sale agents work in that area, whereas 30% will only work with finished projects. And they're the ones mainly.
I mean, I don't really know. I'm still learning everything as I go, to be honest. But it's just my experience.
No, thank you so much for sharing. I'm sure there's going to be so many people watching this from our network being like, of course, I need to make my list. I need to contact people that actually align with my project, instead of, as you said, there's no point submitting your film to a horror festival or a horror sale agent if they're a comedy drama or whatever it may be. Just do your homework, essentially. Yeah,
you just got to do your research, because if you don't, you're wasting your own time. Like, it seems like it takes a long time to work out, who you should be sending things to, but really it's not exactly going to take you longer than a week, is it? I mean, it'll probably take you like 2 or 3 days of hard work, like doing.
It's also just knowing
days,
it's just knowing that is part of the filmmaking.
So why wouldn't you?
Yeah, exactly. But it's knowing it's part of the whole filmmaking process, that it is a part of it. It's not just the pre-production, making the film, then getting it out to festivals. It doesn't stop there. There's this whole other world that you need to get your head around, which is the distribution side of things. Okay, well, thank you so much for sharing, and it's been an absolute pleasure following your whole process, as I mentioned before, with the film festivals, and then taking Philophobia and meeting Matt at EFM and helping him navigate the markets there a little bit. It's just been so good seeing the process with you.
Thank you so much. And thank you for all your help and all your support along the way.
No, thank you. And then one final question. Charlie kind of tapped on it earlier, but I'm just going to reiterate it. What's next for you? Do you have any other projects in the pipeline after Philophobia?
I mean, so this is one of the difficult things about doing everything like the way I've done it, in that I just have to just keep on, like, the film's not finished even though it's finished, if you know what I mean, because I'm still dealing with distribution and all that sort of stuff. I mean, I'm not looking to start anything just yet until I've finished all the deals. So sometime towards the end of this year, after the film's done cinemas, and after I've decided who's distributing it in what territories, I will like do probably I'll just do it on the 1st of January again. I mean, I'll go back through all my projects and all the scripts that I've written, and all the ideas that I've been mulling over the last few years. I've written a few different things that I'm quite excited about, and I'll make a decision again about what I want to do, and I'll crack on, and I'll send it to who I want to send it to, and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens. I haven't 100% decided which one I want to do yet, but it's probably between two. I'd quite like to do like a small town crime drama sort of thing. So
around the same genre and style, or are you breaking away?
I think my style is probably always going to be relatively similar, unless I decide to do like a particular genre piece, because that's kind of the way I do things. But yeah, the genre of this will be a little bit different for sure.
Amazing. Well, we look forward to seeing it.
Awesome.
So I'm just going to move on to the slide now with the cinema releases. Do you want to give a little plug?
Sure, I can't actually see it, but you'll have to look.
So I've got the showcase ones and also the one, I don't really know where this is. There's lots of different things on there.
Real and Premiere Cinemas.
Oh,
yeah, okay. Well, yeah. I mean, the film, the film is out on the 30th of October, and it's in like 50+ cinemas. There's more. There's some announcements coming that aren't on the slides that you can see, but I would really appreciate your support. Support with like indie film and the venues as well. I mean, a lot of these venues, I'm sure, are struggling in this difficult time for the arts. So, I mean, if you feel comfortable, lather yourself down in hand sanitizer or whatever and get a mask on and get in the cinema, I would appreciate it no end, and I'm sure they would as well. And hopefully you enjoy the film. If you don't, at least you can, have the solace that you've done something to support the arts.
Thank you. Just going back to our screen where we can see you. So thank you. There was a nice little photo from the season awards in there as well. So,
cool.
Yeah.
Throwing a glamorous event into. Right. Well, good luck with everything, and I have all my fingers crossed and everything that it will run smoothly from the 30th of October. Yeah.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. Stay in touch, and we can't wait to follow your journey. It's been an absolute pleasure, Guy. Thank you so much.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Cheers, dude.
That was so cool.
Yeah.
So much good advice. I can't.
Absolutely.
Everything he was saying is stuff that we've repeated to other filmmakers within our network as well, and it's just so nice to hear it come from someone who's been through the whole experience. So do take this advice. Do your homework. Find out what aligns with your project. And as Guy said, if you want to get a sale agent on board, get one on earlier on. It seems to work in your favour. Although, Guy's done pretty amazingly to have a completed project now with a different sale agent on a VOD platform and also getting that cinema release. If you are in the UK, do try and get to one of those screenings. We'll post on our social media where those are at. Yeah, we'll post on our social media where those are. I hope you enjoyed the stream. Bye-bye.